and I'll have a vanilla, one of the vanilla bullshit things, whatever you want, some vanilla bullshit, latte, kappa thing, whatever you got.
Fuck you, Larry, bullshit motherfucker! You are such a bald asshole!
I'm not sure.
What is that? Oh, that's mine! Hey!
This is the one you're
That's
talking about?
it, yeah!
Mondo.
Mondo Freaks.
Mondo Freaks.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Curb Your Enthusiasm review and conversation show. I'm Rob Fishbeck. With me, as always, Justin the Juice. What's going on, buddy?
Today I am Swing Juice because we finally had a kind of juice reference in an episode, and we will get into it.
We will get into it. So we were talking behind the scenes before we went live. You want to tell the people what you thought of this episode?
I think this was the best episode of the season. Definitely.
There were so many great bits in this episode.
Yeah.
I feel like, and again, love the show, but like in terms of like nitpicks, some of the episodes that have played this season, like I go, oh, that's really smart. I like how they commented on that, or like, whatever. Whereas like this one, your brain wasn't thinking that because you were busy laughing.
Right.
Right. It felt I don't know. Like it felt like OG Curb. I mean, it's always been OG Curb, but like, I don't know how to describe it. It just, this was a little lifted. There was a lot of good. I think part of it had to do, and we're just kind of talking out loud about this. I think it had a lot to do with the fact that there were multiple setups.
Yeah.
With a lot of different things. And then bits that were just bits in themselves, like the returnability thing, which we'll get to.
Right.
It's not like, because I kept thinking like, all right, is that going to come back like later on in the show? And it didn't. And it was like, okay, cool. But because they had all these big pieces at play, the thing with Stu and his wife and the kids and the group text thing, that was separate. And then like the thing with him and Jeff and Vince Vaughn, Funkhauser, about the dream schemes, and there's just like a lot of different, and then it all just kind of paid off at the end. So
it's classic. Yeah.
All right, I'll let you take the lead with this one, or you should take the lead with this one. What do you want to start with?
Well, yeah, the episode starts with him in bed at 3 a.m. getting a text or getting a call, and he's just trying to figure out who it is. It's just so funny. Like the faces he makes are just always the best. But yeah, him trying to figure out like, oh, this is Gina. Gina who? Stu had a stroke. Who's Stu? Who's Stu? And have you ever been woken up in the middle of the night from a call? I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have.
I've been woken up in the middle of the night from all sorts of things.
Sure. Well, sure.
People waking me up, phone calls, all that sort of stuff.
Well, for something like a serious
stuff, yes, but not this wasn't serious. And I think that was what he was trying to
that was like
home. This like, all right, so and I don't want to throw anybody on the bus, but we've all got layers of like, you've got like your close friends and family, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's like the outer layer of that, which are like people that you know very well. So if they were to call you at 3 o'clock in the morning, it would probably be more so like, oh, wow, like they really thought to include me with this, and that's cool. And then you have like the outer layer outside of that. And I think that's where Stu falls for Larry, if not the next layer, like layer 4, which is, which is definitely 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Please give me a call or leave me a voicemail or a text message letting me know what's going on. I think this is more of like a good acquaintance, more than like a close friend. So for like me, I have had those, I past, 9, 10 p.m. where something serious, happens or whatever, and it's worth knowing. But the fact that like he had a stroke, he's not dead, he's not dying.
Right.
It's not like they need him to come pick him up and take him to the hospital. So where are you at with that? Have you experienced this? What are your...
Yeah, well, nothing really of a similar thing that I can think of. Yeah, as far as the outer layer, right, of the friends, I think, you can pretty much tell. Obviously, Stu holds Larry in his mind. Stu and Larry are much closer than Larry and view Stu, and I think that I can probably relate to from Larry's perspective of like some people that kind of think you're closer, but I don't have necessarily any good stories on that. But
sure, yeah, and there's none that I would want to tell anyways, but
right.
I definitely do have them. But yes, I thought that was a very natural reaction to getting a call from somebody's wife that's more of an acquaintance of yours, not even like a. So I would say there's like acquaintances, and then there's like your buddies, and then there's like your friends, and then there's like your close friends / family, and then maybe there's even like another layer.
Right.
This guy, he probably dances in between buddy and acquaintance.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, those don't warrant 3 a.m. calls. All right, so
I also keep my phone on vibrate pretty much always, and even if somebody called me, I wouldn't wake up.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
Even if maybe things are different now, but I definitely was the type of person to just sleep through alarms. But
sure.
But yeah, because then well, right, and that leads into the next day where he's added to the text chain. And I don't know if I've been in a text chain.
Oh God.
Like that specifically. I mean, there are definitely group chats I'm already in where like something kind of goes down. And so obviously everyone's being very supportive.
Right.
I'm trying to think, but yeah, definitely not. I mean, I non-serious stuff. There are group chats all the time that I'm in that I care nothing about, but don't want to leave because you don't want to be rude. But also, I'm never going to say anything in it or actually read it.
I've had both serious and non-serious. I despise them all.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'll just be honest. Most so for example, I have a Discord channel for this thing, my group of film people. You're in there. A bunch of people are. Unless you tag me, it will not show up on the notifications on my phone. I have to go into Discord to see what people are talking about.
Yeah.
The Fishback family. It's my mom, my 3 sisters, and I. We have a group chat. It's muted. So I'll look and see that I have 17 unread text messages. And, my nephew got, there's a photo of him with something he got at school or whatever. By the way, shout out JJ. Or it's Halloween or something. And it's 17. It's like the photo and then all the reactions to the photo, the thumbs ups, the hearts, and then, oh, so cute. And then they start talking. My mom will say something like, if you're going out on I-80, there's really bad construction. And then another 12 messages. And I glance at that and go, okay. And then I just kind of move on. Yeah, there's most group chats that I'm in, I have muted. How about you? We don't have to get into specifics.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. Yeah.
Feel bad. I don't care. I mean, my whole family knows.
I mean, it's interesting because we met, obviously, like our whole friend group. Schmoedown stuff has been, most of that has like happened through Facebook group chats. So I'd say back like 2 years ago, I was in like 8 different ones that were all active. And so I had 4 or 5 of them muted easily. Now most of those I'm either not in it for anymore, or they just aren't as popular now that we're further and further away from
Right.
just COVID and
All of that.
all of that online connection that
Right.
it was. But yeah, I definitely I'll mute, like if I'm having like a conversation with somebody or with multiple people that's I'm kind of interested, relatively important, like I'm kind of awaiting notifications, I'll sometimes mute a bunch of the group chats so that if I see the messenger icon appear on my phone, I know it's likely one of the things, so, or something I'm actively trying to respond to, and it's just not, and it's not just a random group chat message. So
right now, I will say there are group chats. So like whenever I'm coordinating like like if we're having guests on Characters of Culture, or we're doing some sort of like an event thing for the channel, I'll make like a group chat. Now those I don't mute. So it'll be like, for example, it'll be like me, Lego, Danny, Ryan White, and Della Common or something, and we'll be in a chat. Now, those are not muted because those are usually very like timely, because I need to know, I need to get confirmations, because I run all the scheduling. So I need to get confirmations from people if they're available at a certain date and time, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, the kind of bullshit like, look, here's a picture of a squirrel. It's like, I can look at that squirrel later. I don't need to look at it now.
Yeah, like I sent the picture of you and I when we were together last week into one of the chats. I tagged Jake Yakavetta in it, and he made some joke or some dumb joke, and everyone just kind of made fun of each other for a second, and that was it. And it kind of, life didn't improve or disimprove at all from that. But it was still, it's obviously still fun to share some moments, but for most of the people, it's like, okay.
Right.
So
100%. So yeah, that's where I'm at with the group text and the text messaging, and everybody, and I guess, I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. If I'm calling somebody, it's because I'm trying to get a hold of them right away.
Yeah. Oh, here's
when I text, like, for example, like I'll text you because it'll cross my brain like, oh, I should see if Juice is available tomorrow for blah 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 or whatever, and I'll text you. If you get back to me in an hour or 4 hours, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But like people that come at me and they're like, well, I texted you, and it's like, yeah, well, I was editing a video and then I went to the gym, and for my own mental health was just not interested in returning text messages. But if you were to have called me, but we're in this era, I'm not going to throw anybody specific under the bus, but I keep hearing from more and more millennials, and especially Gen Zers, they don't like talking on the phone. Like, all right, I'll one person I'll throw under the bus. So Helen. So she texted me, she watched The Holdovers. So I'm driving in the car and I'm like, call Helen Fishbeck. Calling Helen Fishbeck.
Sure.
And she's like, yeah. And I said, oh, how'd you like The Holdovers? And she goes, why don't you just text me like a normal person? And I was like, do you know who you're dealing with here? First of all,
that's hilarious.
Second of all, I'm driving, so no, I'm not going to text you. Thirdly,
yeah,
no, it's just not. But people under the age of 35, a good percentage of them, I mean, it's kind of the point where I know, there's some people like they just don't like talking on the phone.
I hate talking on the phone I sometimes don't like, I love talking on the phone. I don't like.
Does it depend what it is?
It depends what it is. I don't like calling. Like if I were to like schedule a doctor's appointment and it'd be easier to call, like I could technically call and schedule it, or I could spend 20 minutes trying to figure out how to do it online. I'm spending the 20 minutes trying to figure out if I can do it online.
So you don't have to call and be on hold.
Yeah, you don't have to call and
That's
be on
fair.
hold. Like a lot of like, especially. Yeah, there's a certain, especially like when you're calling somebody who is obviously busy, like their job, like you're calling a restaurant, you're calling like you're only inconveniencing them and the things that they already have going on.
Right.
So it can be tough, you know, and then you're trying to explain exactly what you need. Well, this isn't really an example. I'll maybe tell. I do have a story from when I was in Chicago. Maybe if we have time, I'll end the show with it.
Okay.
But what do you think of it? So because I'll have people that will call me, and I'll see that they called me, and it maybe they called me like before I woke up, or like I was busy, didn't see the call till a couple hours later. So if I call somebody, and if I call someone just kind of out of convenience, like I'm driving and just kind of want to catch up with a buddy, and call me, doesn't pick up, I'm not going to text him and say, "Oh, just wanted to chat for a second," whatever. Typically those friends, usually they know it's not a big deal. But if I call somebody, I like to send a text explaining why I called so that they know to call me back as soon as they get it.
That's fair. I do that all the time.
Yeah. Because otherwise
my friends with kids, because I usually know like a good time a day to call.
Yeah.
And if they don't answer, it's like they got kids. So I'll text them why, like, give me a call when you got a few.
Text them like, this is not just a call for no reason. There's a specific. So that's why. So like sometimes I will get a call from a friend, and 3 hours later they haven't sent any text saying what it was about. So I'm like, do I call them back? Like, especially, they might have kids, or they might be at work. They might be. So sometimes I text and say like, is this call still necessary? Do I need to call you back? So I like to do the courtesy text when I want to call back after I call somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Renee Holcomb.
What has she been in? Because I was trying to figure out who she was the whole
Essence
time.
Atkins. She played the daughter in Smart Guy. Did you ever watch Smart Guy with the Maury twins' younger brother? Never mind. It was a 90s, late 90s thing. That's what you would know her from. I think she's been in some like horror movies as well. Yeah. But that's what I knew her from. I immediately recognized her. I was like, Smart Guy. Late 90s. Yeah, so good for her. Glad she was in this. This was great.
Yeah, it was great. Their dynamic was it's so rare to see someone on the same level as Larry, and just the jokes that they made. It was just fantastic. That was a great scene at the restaurant. I
would go as far to say like they had real chemistry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I hope do you think there's a chance?
Dude,
the show ends with them being together?
They would be perfect together. See, I mean, here's the deal. Again, as a writer, like Larry David, the actual human, is doing some of these things on purpose. So like Irma, they're supposed to be oil and water.
Right.
That's the whole shtick, so that way he can write these bits for a whole season on how to get rid of her. I forget her first name. Her last name was Black. The character when him and Cheryl split up, Leon's sister.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on her name. That was like 15 years ago, season wise.
I did watch that stuff recently. I still can't.
It's hanging on the tip of my tongue, but I don't want to get the wrong name.
Yeah.
Anyways, point being, they were a lot more alike. And it was like, oh, okay, I could see this working out. But then Larry, just obviously being Larry, wants to get rid of her eventually. Yeah. Him and Cheryl were always oil and water. But you would get these scenes, like these romantic scenes that would kind of, because otherwise people would be like, I don't buy this. How are they married? But they worked. But I'm so glad you brought it up. Incredible.
Yeah. Together. Crush. Yeah. Yeah. Crushes it. And yeah,
The
you don't.
The Weisenheimer.
Yeah, the Weisenheimer is fantastic. I'm doing the thing on old Jewish comedians. Like, what a random.
By the way, not to like skip over anything, but at the end with the art gallery,
Yeah.
the two photos that were together was Richard Lewis and why am I can see his face, Gilbert Gottfried. Those two photos were next to each other, and I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah.
And I was like waiting for the
Well-
like it, like for the next like a Bob Saget or something,
Yeah.
I don't know if he was Jewish though, so I don't
Yeah, I
want to
don't
like
think he
keep that a
was.
turn.
Yeah. It's true.
But yeah, because we both of those guys just in the last year. Obviously, this was filmed before Richard died. But
Right.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Right.
Back to
No,
Where-
yeah.
where
So
you
they're
at?
at the restaurant and gets the pie, takes a bite. It's awful.
it's very tart.
Very tart. Goes in for bite 2. Still awful. Larry takes. I thought Larry took a small bite from what I could tell. I didn't think it was a huge bite, but the manager comes back, with "You've crossed the threshold of returnability," which is fantastic. And of course they fight it, and of course it's funny because it's obviously it's not about the money, it's about the principle. But I do still think that it's I do relate to the I typically try to relate to the restaurant workers, because sometimes there are people that do like eat the whole thing and then they complain about it, and it's like, you ate the whole thing. This was clearly like, I had a sandwich yesterday that was just awful, but I was in a hurry. I was eating more for the fact of eating. So I let I didn't say, well, I did. I didn't say anything, whatever. Eat the sandwich. It's fine. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. No, I probably should have.
Yeah.
It's before work. I just wanted to eat a sandwich before going into work. So,
Right.
but have you, what are your thoughts or any experiences on taking a few bites and just saying nope?
I'm going to end up eating it usually, but there's been, I'll make this fast. So I was with a bunch of people and they wanted to go to this restaurant, and I'm thinking like, this is one of those types of restaurants that kind of like has like a little bit of everything. So like anybody would be like satisfied,
Right.
And, at the time, like I was trying to drop a couple pounds because like I had not been working out my regular schedule, and I put a few pounds on. So I was like trying to stick with like fish and chicken, stuff like that.
For sure.
And we go to the restaurant and I'm looking at the menu and they've got all sorts of different types of things. And I was like, again, I'm not picky. I'll take a grilled chicken sandwich. I'll take, even if it's fish that's, catfish that's maybe got breading on it, like I'll eat that, whatever. So I'm looking and it said that they had cod. And I was like, well, I'll get some cod. And it was breaded cod.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. But where we were at, it was by like a really nice lake. We were in the state of Michigan. So I'm thinking like, this is probably like freshly caught, whatever. And they bread it, that would make sense.
Right.
So anyway, so I ordered it with a side of vegetables, and they come out and they're deep fried fish sticks with some like really ugly looking carrots and broccoli. And like those were the vegetables.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, $16.99 for this? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? You're there.
Yeah,
There's literally like 30 people there. And everybody else is like enjoying their burgers or whatever the hell they got. And I'm like, I should have asked, but like I use my context clues. We're literally next to a lake. We're in the land. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan and Wisconsin got tons of lakes, and Minnesota, obviously Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking like, whatever. Anyways, there's that. And then There are some restaurants I don't go to anymore because we would get carry out from them and get home, and the fries were like 50 degrees. They weren't even room temperature. They were like,
Oh, yeah.
borderline cold.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the fried chicken's like piping fucking hot.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously, they packed the fries, cooked all the chicken. 20 minutes later, put the chicken in the bag, and then they come running out to my car.
Right.
That's the kind of that drives me insane.
That stuff is. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I'm more on the. I don't say anything. I just eat it. It's because I'm not picky either. So like, even if I don't like it,
Right.
It's not like abhorrent. It's just like, all right, that's not pleasant, but it's fine. But I've gotten a lot smarter in the way that I order over the years. So usually I'm getting something. Usually it's just, it's something just turns out it's just not what you expected. So it's not that it's necessarily bad for what it is. It's just not what you're expecting. So you just maybe don't go to, you don't go to that place again. That's more what I'm not going to make a big deal of it, but you're not going to necessarily get some returning. I'm not going to be back, likely.
Right.
Kind of a thing.
100%. So the whole returnability of it all, they took too many bites. I just don't. It's a good bit because it comments on a lot of things.
Great.
But to me, it's just this all just goes back to. By the way, did you see how much money he left on the table? He has like $300 on the table. I saw 2 $100 bills and another.
I didn't zoom or I didn't pause it, but.
Oh, I didn't pause it either. I just super focused. Here's what I'll say. I just loved their chemistry because they were both on the same team. Like, this is bullshit. And then they both got up and left. Whereas I feel in the past, the types of women Larry would be with would either be like, A, don't say anything. Let's not make a fuss about it. Or they would be the types of people that would just be like, well, we're still going to sit here and enjoy our night, even though this was where Larry's natural inclination is to say, fuck you and leave.
Right.
And I like that they were on the same wavelength.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, there's the conolingus with the housekeeper. I thought that was a good kind of recurring bit throughout the whole episode. But which leads me to say the episode should have been called Pussycat, because we get to Stu's wife, who has this whole monologue of things Stu wants taken care of if he goes. And one of them is that they have this kind of priceless violin that Funkhauser is going to be in charge of selling. And they want Larry to help raise their 11-year-old daughter. Now, not saying Larry David, the real human, but Larry David, the character. If I'm sitting around thinking who I would want my children to be raised by, he's at the bottom of the list.
The last person. Which just shows, that Stu must have this just like Larry up on a pedestal, maybe said something nice in passing to him one time, and it's just he's on this pedestal and clearly doesn't actually know him.
Right.
But it is, but
they say the 11-year-old identifies as a cat.
As a cat, yeah.
And I was like, I've been waiting for an identifying episode.
Yeah.
Because you gotta really. I even say things sometimes I don't mean them to come off a certain way, but they come off a certain way, and today's world. So I'm glad they went with the cat because that's a little safer, I think. But it worked. It meant for a great bit because then they're out to eat. Now here's the deal. Here's the deal. For those of you that know me, I have a lot of sweatshirts. I have a lot of dark gray sweatshirts. This is one that I own that I took the string out of because this is like one that I wear to the gym, and I like it really kind of like loose and like almost like kind of stretched out, and the hood's really stretched out. So when it's windy and I'm walking to the car, I can just go like this and put it up, no problem. But all my other hoodies have drawstrings on them, and I'm very particular about my drawstrings, and I like them on the hoodies or the sweatshirts or basketball shorts. I know people that
Yeah.
take the drawstrings out of their basketball shorts as
No,
soon as they
that's
buy
crazy.
them, and I'm like, what
You
are you?
gotta have
What
them.
if you lose 5 pounds? What
Yeah.
are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You gonna go buy new shorts? Is that what you're gonna do? What's your take with the sweatshirt?
Yeah, I don't.
Do you wear a lot of sweatshirts?
I do wear a lot of sweatshirts. I'm not. I guess I haven't. I am. Yeah, I do like I like them at the same length. I'm kind of like OCD about that, having them be at the same. So yeah, it would definitely drive me crazy. I guess I haven't had one. Oh, but and trying to put it back in. That's
impossible.
It's
Once it's out, it's out.
Once it's out, it's out. So yeah, I would say I've probably been pretty protective because I know that if that thing comes out, it's sweatshirt's ruined. I'm not gonna be able to wear it again.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I just like cats play with string.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know about this. By the way, so I'm just looking at my notes. If there's something that happened before this, feel free to bring it up. But the next thing I got written down is the coyote vest.
This plays into some stuff we glossed over. So
obviously this has been a recurring bit through the season that there's coyotes in the area eating dogs.
Yeah.
And it looked like an S&M,
oh yeah.
or like you went to a punk rock store and bought this, spiked vest, which is definitely that's right up Susie's alley.
Yeah. This weird porcupine-ish.
I've never seen a coyote vest before.
Yeah.
Especially us living in the Midwest, you'd think you would see them.
Yeah.
So what do you got? What's the next thing you wanted to comment on?
Well, yeah, I guess we never really touched on the dream scheme or at least the original one. So the original one on the golf course, that's where Swing Juice comes into play. Where Jeff Jeff wants we could talk all day long about the middle seats of airplanes and stuff too, I'm sure.
Problem is I don't fly enough. I've only flown I went on a plane when we went to LA, and then prior to that, it had been 14 years since I'd been on a plane. I will not sit in the window seat because I'm so scared of being on the plane in the first place. I don't want a reminder that I'm that high off the ground.
Yeah.
So I will take an aisle or a middle seat any day of the week over a window seat. What about you? Where are you?
I'm big aisle because I have to go to the bathroom a lot. And I hate having to you never know who you're going to sit next to. Sometimes they might be very small and it doesn't really matter. So I'm very much right there with Jeff where I do not want to fly in the middle. So the one time I wouldn't say I've had a bad experience particularly.
Okay.
Where it's like a horrifying experience. I've usually been pretty lucky, and I have a lot of layovers usually when I fly. So usually the flight's only like an hour and a half. Right. And I get on another flight. So one time I actually paid extra. It wasn't super expensive, but it was, maybe $20 or so extra to specifically pick the aisle seat. I paid for it. Okay. I get down in my chair. I'm in my aisle seat. I'm like, great. I can go to the bathroom as many times as I want. No one's going to care. And this this wife and a kid are next to me. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever. Her husband or whoever is in the middle seat of the row right in front of me and asks if we can switch.
Ooh.
And had I thought about it a little, if I'd given it a little thought, I probably would have said, so sorry, I actually paid extra to have an aisle seat. I have to go to the bathroom a lot. I probably would have made up like I have a urinary problem. I need to I have a disease. I have to pee all the time, constantly. You never know what's gonna happen. I'm so sorry. I need this seat.
Okay.
But then my gut reaction in those situations is just say yes. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. And that was actually probably the most uncomfortable flight that I had. I think just the guy next to me just had like a lot of stuff. So it was uncomfortable. And so, yeah, I think because I had paid, if I hadn't paid, then, and it was just random, then yeah, sure. But because I'd paid, I think, if it was in that situation again, I would have said no. They're right next to each other. It's not like they're, yeah, I don't know. But
Definitely.
what are you going to do?
Definitely. So the dream schemes, listen, that was the kind of one I call. I was like, this is gonna end up blowing up in their face.
Oh yeah.
This episode. I think Jeff did a much better job than Vince Vaughn with trying to sell it.
Oh yeah.
To me, the Vince Vaughn bit was like way too
obvious.
Not believable, like way too. You're just like you got a smorgasbord of problems
in so many different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I liked it. Either way, Stu was great. I love Stu. By the way, like just laid in bed the whole time in the hospital. Like, listen, long days on set. That's the role you want. You just lay in bed the whole time.
Yeah. Oh man.
So I say all this to say, then they end up going. They're switching. They're flip flopping. They end up going to Stu's house, and everything comes to light. Susie walks in, kale salad, low calories. They break the violin. I saw that coming. I know it's nitpicky. They didn't need to break the violin. That was the low hanging fruit joke,
right?
To have done, because when they were fighting over it, I was like, oh, it's gonna break now. And then when it didn't, I was just like,
yeah,
cool. They didn't go for the low hanging fruit. But as far as we know, it just fell while they were rolling, and they decided to go with it. Because of how much this show is improv.
Yeah, could have been.
Who knows?
But yeah, ultimately though, the violin breaking is what gets both of them out of it. Right. I guess you could have kept it to where they stay in. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, if I was Stu's wife, as soon as they started arguing and did the whole bit about with Susie and the dream schemes and everything, I would have been like, I don't want these people involved.
Yeah, right.
Raising my daughter. I'm sure I can pay some college kid, a little bit of money to figure out how to sell this violin. College kids always need money. But that was great. It was great. Again, for me, it was Renee Holcomb and Larry. That's what made, I think, maybe, I don't know about you, but for me, that's what took it from like an A to an A+ episode, because I just loved their chemistry.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd agree.
What else do you want to talk about before we get to the ending?
Yeah, I guess I named myself Swing Juice. It is funny. Yeah, it's funny how you kind of see that coming with Larry stealing what Vince did. But I don't think just much. We don't need to get more into that. Toilet paper. Oh well, I guess we haven't really talked about the housekeeper herself.
No, we have not. But I understand her concerns.
Yeah.
You know, where are you at with the housekeeper?
Yeah, I would just quit.
Yeah, right? Right? Plenty of rich people
I
in
guess
his
she's
neighborhood
like-
you could work for.
Yeah, I guess she's, but yeah, I kind of see the like, yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah, I guess I see the, yeah, I should, yeah, that's tough to, it's,
I know.
it's the, yeah, I like how he just brings up randomly the toilet paper, like when they're arguing, brings up like, could you put the toilet paper on the from the bottom instead, or you're putting it on the bottom, you throw it on the top. Do you have any thoughts on that?
You
Just-
gotta do the top. I only do top.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
only do top. Only do top.
Yeah.
Do you
so.
have a preference?
Not as much, but definitely, yeah, the top.
It's because there's slack.
sense.
If you go from the bottom, there's always gonna be like 2 or 3 squares that are gonna hang, and those are the things those are like
Oh,
the things that
sure,
tick that
sure.
drive me nuts. But in terms of the housekeeper, yeah, I would have just quit. I'm surprised Larry didn't just like get rid of her, because that's a normal like Larry bit, like, well, the housekeeper's, you know. But
Yeah.
again, it's also a normal Larry bit to just kind of put up with the insanity.
Right.
You know, I mean, again, it's been 15 years and Leon still lives there. So,
Yeah.
you know. But no, I think it was perfectly acceptable for the housekeeper to be kind of freaked out. It's Larry's fault because he thought it was her day off and it wasn't. Because why would she knock to go into his room if he knew the housekeeper was in the house, because it's her day to be there? So it's one of those, to me, that's on Larry. Larry should have realized, like, oh, the housekeeper is going to be. Also, why not shut the door? Lock the door. Shut the door, lock the door.
Yeah. I guess that was kind of what I was a little confused about, because you would think like,
Because again, Leon could walk in. You know, I think him and Jeff have the relationship that
Yeah.
Jeff just lets himself in, you know, right?
yeah, unless he just didn't realize it was open. But
Could be.
yeah, that was interesting with the yeah. I don't know.
So we say all this to say we get to the end of the episode. And obviously the housekeeper got the painting of Larry and altered it. And they walk in and they see what they see. And they look at each other and they just walk out of the place. And again, that very moment, I'm like, these two are perfect for each other.
Yeah.
They're perfect. Because again, I just run through all the women he's been with. Some of them would have been like defiant, we're going to stay, you know, screw them. Some
Yeah.
people would have had like a emotional reaction one way or the other about it. She kept
And been mad at Larry.
been mad at Larry.
Everyone would have been, everyone else would have been mad at Larry,
Yeah.
even though he had, even though it clearly wasn't his fault, even though he maybe could have.
But yeah, I
did
mean,
some
to your
things that
point,
prevented that.
a lot of them would just get pissed off at Larry and be like, fuck
Yeah.
you, Larry, you know, and just blame it on him.
Yeah.
But she didn't. And I just can't get over the fact that they just have such great chemistry
Yeah.
as characters. And I'm just like, man, I'm rooting for these people now.
Yeah. Yeah. One episode.
Way better than
just-
Sienna Miller. No offense to Sienna Miller.
Yeah.
You're a great actress, but right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that Essence is obviously Star. You've seen her and stuff. I haven't seen her in anything. Still looks very familiar. I am sure I've seen something. But she's not like a superstar
Right.
as an actress herself, to where it's like also extremely like unbelievable or takes you out of it completely.
Sure. Totally.
Like, yeah, it's not like all of a sudden it's Margot Robbie or
right.
Beyonce or, you know, like somebody like egregious.
Have you ever seen
famous.
How High?
No.
She was in How High. She was in A Haunted House 2, Dance Flick. I'm trying to think of movies that you may know that she's been in quite a few films.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's
Those are the big three that
that's
popped
stuff
up.
I've
The
seen
Noel
back in
Diary,
the day.
Deliver Us from Eva. Yeah,
So that's got to be a Tyler Perry movie.
could be. I know her from Smart Guy when I was in like 3rd grade.
Gotcha.
But either way, yeah, she's great. Asa Zankids, hope you stay
Yeah.
on the show. I also love how much Vince Vaughn has been in this season. He to me, he's very much a season regular on this season. Way more so than Cheryl. Cheryl's barely in the show anymore.
Right.
Which is fine.
Even-
which
and
makes
Ted-
sense.
yeah.
Why would-
Obviously, Ted Danson was big in last episode.
right. And we haven't seen
But-
Mary Steenburgen in years.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mary Steenburgen. But yes.
Yeah.
So we got 3 episodes left. I'm excited. It's great. We've got fun stuff planned. So
I have a random question that made
What do
me
you got?
thought of.
What do you got?
Like, because Ted Danson and Mary Steenburgen are still married in real life.
oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
Do you think, let's say they were still, I use them as an example, but I just mean like maybe anybody, but like,
Sure.
what if Ted and Mary, because Hollywood divorces are very, very common, what if Ted and Mary got divorced in real life, but were still
Married on the show.
married on the show? Do you think Larry would have tried to keep them together on the show?
I don't know. That would have been wild.
That would
have been wild. But there was
Or-
so much because I went back and watched season 5. Was it season 5? Season 5 and season 6. I watched a lot of that after Richard Lewis passed. Just like a
I
night.
recently
You can-
watched both of them,
again
yeah, so
within like 2 days.
yeah,
You
Mondo
can
Freaks.
watch 4 episodes. And again, this season,
And-
the newer episodes, they're a lot longer.
Right, they used to just be 30, so you could yeah.
27 without the credits.
Yeah.
28. So yeah, I mean, talk
could
about
binge 'em.
you could really breeze through 3 or 4 episodes
yeah.
in 2 hours, no problem.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. But I say this to say, when I went back and I was I was like, man, there was a lot of Easter eggs set up for this whole Ted and Cheryl thing.
Oh yeah.
There was the episode when she was up on top of the balcony and she was yelling at Larry about something, and then she's like talking on the phone, and Jeff goes, "Who's she talking to?" And he's like, "Oh, she's talking to Ted Danson, like they're friends." He's
Yeah.
like, "What? They're friends?" And she's like, "Yeah, they're friends." And then like a
Hit
few
each
episodes
other,
later,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So again, I'm sure Larry had a lot of this stuff planned
Oh,
out
yeah.
very meticulously. But no, I get what you're saying. That would be hilarious. Like if they were trying to,
Yeah.
if a couple
Yeah.
had divorced in real life and he tries to keep them on the show, like
Yeah.
married.
Because what, then you have to choose, which of them, if they, I mean, I guess if they're cool, they could write the divorce into the show and still keep them on the show.
I
But
think they've done that
That's-
bit on the show before. Like, who do you choose? Like when people break up, I'm
Oh, they
sure.
did.
I'm
Well,
sure.
they did
Yeah.
technically with Larry and Cheryl, because they were
Right.
Oh, because the restaurant, right? He's trying to get into that restaurant, and
Yes.
they're like, "We have no room for you." What do you mean? We chose Cheryl.
Right.
Oh, so
Right.
good.
Right. Okay. So, season 12, episode 7, Curb Your Enthusiasm. The episode was called The Dream Scheme. I vote it should have been called Pussycat. And cats
Mhm.
like to play with strings. So there's that. You about ready to get out of here?
I think so. I do have one quote that I wrote down, and it might be the first time I ever wrote a quote down.
What do you got?
That Larry said to, I forget exactly when, but obviously during their arguments, what Larry said to Freddie. "Nobody has ever said a decent word about me for my entire life."
I love it. I love it. I
Oh.
love it. It's fantastic.
Yes.
All right, Juice. What do you got going on? Where can the people find you at?
Not much since last time, because we did our show on a Thursday last time, so we actually haven't got to what I plugged last week yet.
You
The
haven't even-
heroes, the 2 hero brackets are still about to come.
That is fair. That is fair. Yeah, check out What the Show, everybody. It's
Yeah,
great.
on What the Show.
And they're almost to like a milestone of subscribers. They only need a few
we?
more to get there. Let's get them there.
I feel like we've been at this same spot for
You guys have been stagnant
like
for a
2
bit.
years.
I keep tabs. Keep tabs.
That's awesome.
We'll get you guys over that. Problem is, all my people have already subscribed.
Yeah, right.
You know, but
Oh,
such
man.
is life. You can find me at Rob Fishback. We'll be back here to talk about episode 8 within the next week or so. And yeah, 3 more left for the season. It's gonna be fun. So, all right, everybody, take it easy.
And I'll have a vanilla